Your four favorites are Nowhere, Female Trouble, The Young Girls of Rochefort, and The Beyond. My top choice for you is Velvet Goldmine. It's got LGBTQ characters like Nowhere and Female Trouble. It's a musical like The Young Girls of Rochefort. And like The Beyond, it didn't get stellar reviews when it was released, but it's gained a cult following over the years. Since you're a fan of Nowhere, I checked which Gregg Araki movies you've already watched. And you saw most of them, but I think you should check out Kaboom because it's got the hallmarks of an Araki film. It's got sex, drugs, LGBTQ characters, and James Duvall. And this one, like Nowhere, has some sci-fi elements to it. Fun fact, this is the first movie to ever be awarded the Queer Palm at Cannes. Since I mentioned James Duvall, I realized he's in 3 more movies I wrote down, and I didn't do that on purpose. I wasn't even planning on including them in this video, but since I brought it up, you might also like Go, SLC Punk, and May. I wrote this one down more because of the combination of Nowhere and The Beyond in your favorites, because you saw so many of the horror movies I wanted to recommend, and even though this one isn't quite similar to The Beyond, eyes are an important part of both of them. The Rules of Attraction comes to mind when I think of Nowhere because it's also a black comedy about a bunch of college students. Spring Breakers comes to mind for similar reasons, but I also think you might like Kids, Dazed and Confused, River's Edge, and Trainspotting. It looks like you've seen almost every John Waters movie, but I noticed you didn't have A Dirty Shame marked as watched. It's nothing like Female Trouble, and I know it's one of his least popular films, but I think it's worth checking out. The Bad Seed is one of John Waters' favorite movies, and he definitely drew some inspiration from it when he made Female Trouble. The combination of Nowhere and The Young Girls makes me think you'd like Jules and Jim, because the characters in Nowhere are in an open relationship, which kind of makes me think of love triangles, even though I know they're not the same thing. But the love triangle in Jules and Jim kind of feels like an open relationship. And there's a reference to Jules and Jim in The Young Girls, and both of these movies are French films from the 60s. Speaking of movies that The Young Girls references that I think you'd like, Children of Paradise is another one. This feels backwards because usually I'm recommending a Jacques Demy film to someone with La La Land in their favorites, but you've got The Young Girls in your favorites and you didn't have La La Land marked as watched, so I think you should give this one a try. You saw every movie that initially came to mind when I thought of The Beyond, but I was surprised you didn't have Dawn of the Dead marked as watched. It's not that similar to The Beyond, but both movies have zombies in them, and The Beyond is Italian and Dawn of the Dead is an American-Italian co-production. Speaking of zombies, I think you might like 28 Days Later and Soul Survivor. And another horror movie I think you should check out is Diabolique because there's at least one scene in The Beyond that pays homage to this movie.